All right, and welcome back, everybody. But welcome to another edition of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here once again. If you're tuning in, because obviously I just got wrapped up with the football podcast, so now we got the GSMC Baseball Podcast here on this Friday. Audio's good. Yeah, so I was doing the football podcast, and of course this is the first day I'm doing the doubling up, because now we just got the football podcast. We just have the baseball podcast on Fridays after I'm done with the football one. But yeah, this was the whole first week of doing football, and yeah, we get to today, and almost halfway done with the show, and I was alerted that I had no sound, and for some reason, and you know what, I'm always checking to make sure I have volume, but today for some reason I just really didn't notice it. So once I was told that, I looked and I was like, oh, yeah, I have no sound. So I had to re-record that, but luckily it didn't, interfere with this, because this show will be every Friday now from at 12:45 Eastern time, and then it'll end around 1:45 Eastern time. So so what I'm going to be doing today now is, because of that, is I'm going to have to record the Patreons for both of them after this. So yeah, so that's kind of how my day started. But you know what? It worked out. It worked out, and everything's fine. But that was just a massive brain fart by me. And yeah, we're going to be talking about baseball now for the first time in a while, in a week. And a lot has happened. Pretty much every division series is over. And yeah, pretty much everything I predicted was wrong. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys, for donations and tips and to get your comments recognized, make sure to go to streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show. And for bonus coverage materials that are not covered by this broadcast, make sure to go to patreon.com and search up GSMC Sports Network. So let's get into what we're talking about today. So we are going to recap every single division series. We'll go through each game, go through all that, and I'll give you my thoughts on that as well. So we'll start off with the series that ended last night in 4 games, and that was the Philadelphia Phillies Atlanta Braves series. Now, last year, the Braves lost to the Phillies in 4 games. They split in Atlanta, and then the Phillies just wiped the floor with them in Philadelphia. And this is coming off of a 100-win season. Braves, they come out and they have a great season again. I mean, Ronald Acuna, 40-plus home runs, 70 stolen bases. The whole thing. Matt Olson, he was great this year. You had Spencer Strider, who was a Cy Young candidate. The Braves, by far, were the best team, going into these playoffs. So, listen, I picked them to win the whole thing. I just thought, you know what? They're going to rewrite the wrong from last year losing to the Phillies. Now, I did say this was going to be a competitive series. I said this, it's going to go 5 games, but ultimately I think the Braves are going to win it, and get back to the promised land. But pretty much the same thing happened as last year. And the crazy thing about it is the Braves could have got swept. They could have got swept. They ended up winning Game 2, but they could have very easily gotten swept in this series. So we're going to go through each game, recap them, and I'll give you my thoughts on them as well. So, like I said, Phillies, Braves, ended in 4 games. So we'll go way back to Game 1, and that was last Saturday. So that was the day after I previewed all of these series. And the Phillies, they got the win, 3-0. Braves just could not get anything going offensively. And it was another, Bryce Harper, he hit a home run in this game, I believe. Yes, he did. Bryson Stott had an RBI single, and JT Realmuto reached on a catcher's interference. Trey Turner scored on that. And those are your runs there. And And Suarez started for the Phillies, and only pitched 3 2/3, and the bullpen did its job, and the Braves just did not get anything going there in Game 1. So already you're thinking, all right, is this going to be a repeat of last year? So then the next game they played was on Monday, and the Phillies, again, they were up 4-0 going into the bottom of the 6th inning. Zach Wheeler was pitching well in this game. He finished, 6 1/3, 3 hits, 3 runs. Two of them were earned, 10 strikeouts. But yeah, I mean, you thought Zach Wheeler was pitching a gem. I mean, here we go again. Braves are going to lose this game, right? JT Realmuto hit a home run in this game. Alec Boehm started off the game. He had an RBI single to put him up 1-0 in the top of the first. JT Realmuto, 2-run home run in the top of the third to put the Phillies up 3-0. Bryson Stott, sacrifice fly to make it 4-0. So yeah, it was 4-0. Bottom of the 6th, then the Braves finally, got on the board. Ozzie Albies, he singled to drive in a run, so the Braves were down 4-1 at that point. Then in the bottom of the 7th, Travis d'Arnaud hit a 2-run home run to make it 4-3. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Austin Riley hit a go-ahead 2-run home run to put them up 5-4. Now in the top of the 9th, it got crazy at the end. So we'll go through how the inning started. So Bryce Harper walked. Then the Braves brought in their closer. They replaced A.J. Minter with Raciel Iglesias. JT Realmuto. Why am I having such a problem saying his name? JT Realmuto flew out to center to Michael Harris, so it was 1 out. Then Castellanos comes up to the plate, and he flies out. Michael Harris makes a great play, throws it back in. Harper got doubled up, but it didn't look like that was going to happen because the ball got thrown in. It wasn't Albies didn't make the play. So then Austin Riley comes out of nowhere, right? I think it was Albies, right? Whatever. The ball gets, nobody makes the play on the infield, and then Austin Riley comes out of nowhere and just throws to first to get Harper out. He came out of nowhere. It was like a crazy play. And that's how Game 2 ended. And you thought, okay, all right, that was a big win for the Braves. Let's see what happens after that. So we get to Wednesday. Aaron Nola gets to start against Elder. And one of the things that came out of that game actually was so Orlando Arcia said, like, what did he say? He said attaboy Harper or something like that. But then the Braves just started downplaying it, no, that that wasn't supposed to be made public or whatever. And people are saying, some people are saying, that was made up or whatever. So, yeah, Braves fans were not happy when they heard about that. So what ends up happening in Game 3, Phillies win that game 10-2. Phillies put up a 6th spot in the bottom of the 3rd. Braves went up 1-0 to start that inning. Albies had an RBI single. Castellanos hit a home run, and then Bryce Harper comes up, and he hits a 3-run moonshot, I think in the second deck in right field to put them up 4-1. JT Realmuto, man, I'm having such a problem saying his name. JT Realmuto doubled to score 2 runs. So, yeah, Phillies put up a 6th spot in the bottom of the 3rd. And then Bryce Harper homered again. His 3rd of the postseason, 3rd in this series. Well, 3rd in this series. All their games have been in this series for the postseason. And I think it was on this one that he stared at Arcia. And he talked about it at the end of the game. And then Arcia, he actually got. Speaking of Arcia, he got a single, so it was 7-2. Trey Turner homered, Castellanos homered again, and then Brandon Marsh homered, and that was the final score, 10-2. So yeah, the Phillies, they got the win there. They were up 2-1. And last night, big game. The Braves, again, they scored first, but the Phillies answered, and they didn't look back. So Austin Riley hit a home run to put the Braves up 1-0. Castellanos homered to tie it. Then Trey Turner homered, and then Castellanos homered. So bottom of the 4th was a Castellanos home run. Bottom of the 5th was a Trey Turner home run. and Castellanos hit another home run in the bottom of the sixth, and that's all she wrote. That's all she wrote. The Braves could not do anything, and that was it. Phillies move on to the NLCS for the second straight year, and it's actually the first time in Major League Baseball history that a team in back-to-back years in which they win 100 games got knocked out by the same team. And yeah, I mean, I had the Braves winning the World Series, and listen, look, how I ranked these series is I said, listen, I think the Phillies have the second best chance to upset, their opponent, because, we'll talk about it later in the show. The Rangers, they are playing, this weekend as well. They are in the championship series. So, I mean, I was right in how I ranked them. It's just, I mean, the Braves, that's just embarrassing. And I saw a clip, and many of you probably saw it. The manager of the Braves, Brian Snitker, I can't say his name. Again, I just can't pronounce. I can't pronounce people's names. But whatever. The manager said to Acuna after they, I guess they clinched the division or whatever, you're going to be playing in the World Series with us this time, or whatever he said. And that's not the case. Yeah, so not a good look it's not a good look for the manager. So yeah, the Braves are out again. I mean, it's just, yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. I mean, listen, Ronald Acuna really did not have a good series. I mean, there was a lot of players that really just didn't do anything in this series. And the Phillies are on a mission. They looked like the better team. I mean, listen, I knew that this lineup is loaded. And I knew that they were gonna give the Braves a hard time again. But I just thought, you know what? I think the Braves will get it done this time. But that was not the case. That was not the case. And, the Philly fans were chanting, "We want Strider." They got Strider, and they beat him again. So, I mean, listen, if the Braves couldn't win this year, I mean, when are they going to win? That's how I look at it. And obviously, one of the big things that was discussed, around New York is, well, the Yankees, they just didn't go after Bryce Harper. Like, do you have to remind us of that? Really? I don't need to think about that right now. But I mean, Bryce Harper's just been, in the postseason, he's just been clutch. And he actually did get hurt. Matt Olson ran into him. I didn't see the play, but Matt Olson ran into him and hurt his where he surgically repaired elbow. But I think he's fine. But yeah, the Phillies, they win again. And I think they're going to the World Series. Yeah. And I'll talk about the other team they're facing when we get to them at the end of the show. Towards the end of the show. There are some apologies. I have to apologize to the Phillies. Listen, I had to side with the Braves. I couldn't do it. But listen, this is going to be also an apology show because I got to apologize to these teams because it's funny because I said there was going to be at least one upset. There was 3 of them. there was 3 of them. So I got to flip-flop. So, all right. So that's pretty much it when it comes to this first part of the show. When we come back, we are going to now discuss the Diamondbacks, the team the Phillies will be playing, and how they swept the Dodgers. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to discuss the second National League Division Series. And, it's about the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. This is the team that I really want to apologize to because, listen, I'm going to apologize to the Rangers, too, when we get to them. Well, I'm not going to apologize to the Rangers because I said that they could definitely upset the Orioles. But I will apologize to the Diamondbacks because I really didn't give them a shot. I didn't. I just thought, listen, the Dodgers are the better team, and I just thought with their lineup that they were ultimately going to be the team that won this series. But that was not the case. I mean, not only did the Dodgers not win this series, they got swept by the Diamondbacks, who, you look at the win-loss records between these two teams, right? Dodgers, they won their 100 games, right? There was a 16-game difference between their records. And Diamondbacks wiped the floor with them. So let's go through the three games. So, game one, you had Merrill Kelly against Clayton Kershaw. Now, I said, I do remember saying, listen, Clayton Kershaw has had his struggles in the postseason. And obviously he's getting older, too. Oh, boy. Top of the first. Diamondbacks put up a 6 spot. Corbin Carroll, RBI single. Christian Walker, RBI double. Gabriel Moreno, 3-run home run to make it 5-0. Evan Longoria to make it 6-0. Then Corbin Carroll, home run. Top of the second, Lourdes Gurriel. He had an RBI double. Evan Longoria sac fly. Alec Thomas, he hit a solo home run, and Tommy Pham hit a solo home run. So really everybody got involved for the Diamondbacks. Did everybody get a hit in this game for them, actually? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much everybody that was starting because they put in Peterson and Perdomo didn't get a hit. But I guess Peterson came in as a defensive replacement. But yeah, the Dodgers, they didn't score their 2 runs until the 8th inning. And those came off the bat of Will Smith, who had an RBI triple. So the Dodgers lost the first game 11-2. All right, so that was on Saturday. So now we get to Monday. All right. You got Bobby Miller on the mound, making his postseason debut. Diamondbacks put up a 3 spot in the first inning. Zach Gallen was pitching for them, and he got the win in this game. So Christian Walker, sac fly. Gabriel Moreno grounded out. Gurriel, he had a single. So it was 3-0. And bottom of the fourth, J.D. Martinez, solo home run. So that made it 3-1. Then Gurriel Jr. homer to make it 4-1. And then Kike Hernandez singled in the bottom of the 6th. And that made it 4-2. And that was the final score. Bobby Miller, he only pitched 1 2/3 innings. They used the bullpen the rest of the way. He gave up 3 earned runs. So he really wasn't that good. I mean, let's go back to Kershaw for a second. So his ERA is 162 after that start. That's crazy. So his final stat line, actually, just to go back to that. So Kershaw only got 1 out. 6 earned runs, 6 hits, 1 walk. Again, ERA's at 162. It finishes at for this year. I mean, that's the whole MLB season. 162. So now they went back to Arizona. And the Diamondbacks, they got the job done. And they did something that actually wasn't done before. They hit 4 home runs in the same inning in a playoff game. Perdomo, he hit a home run. Kentel Marte homered. Christian Walker homered. And then Gabriel Moreno hit a home run, but then it got called back. And then guess what happens? He still hit a home run. He hits a home run after that. And then that's all she wrote. Dodgers got 2 runs late in the game. They were trying to mount a comeback, and they just couldn't do it. And they lose 4-2, and they get swept. Yeah, very disappointing for the Dodgers. But again, I want to apologize to the Diamondbacks because you know what? They've been playing well. They have been playing well in these playoffs. Now, I said they would beat the Brewers just because I didn't trust the Brewers. The Dodgers, I figured, you know what? They're the better team. But, the Dodgers' flaws. But, again, in the back of my mind, listen, Kershaw, not the best when it comes to the postseason. Bobby Miller, he's making his first postseason start. Lance Lynn hasn't been good. I mean, that's your rotation. Urias, his off-the-field stuff, he wasn't an option. And you got Dustin May, who, he wasn't an option either. So the Dodgers were dealing, and Walker Buehler's not there too. So the Dodgers, they were dealing with a lot of injuries going into this series. And, it kind of showed. But I think the other thing, too, the other big thing, is the fact that Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts went a combined 1 for 21 in this series. That is horrendous. And that's not what you want. So the Dodgers, they just didn't hit. And you know what? I mean, the game one, you give Kershaw Kershaw didn't give them a chance. I mean, they were down 6-0 before they even came up to the plate. It was an awful performance. Terrible. And now the Diamondbacks, they go up against the Phillies. And listen, I'm not going to say I'm going to give them no chance. I think they'll win at least a game or two. But I you know what? I got to disrespect them even more because I'm going to take the Phillies in the series. I think the Phillies win in 6 games and they get back to the World Series. I really do, But got to give the Diamondbacks credit. They played really well in this postseason. They haven't lost a game yet. Think about that. They're undefeated. That's got to count for something, right? Yeah, absolutely, because it's got them to the championship series now. And, you got to like what their pitching's doing. Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, they've looked good. Ford has, done what he's supposed to do. And the lineup's doing good. I mean, listen, that Blue Jays trade, I mean, the Diamondbacks won that by a long shot. I mean, Gurriel Jr. and Moreno, they won that trade. Corbin Carroll, he's having an unbelievable postseason. Let's actually look at his numbers right now from this postseason. If I can pull his numbers up really quickly here. So, in the postseason right now, so he's batting .412 in 17 at-bats. He's batting .412, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and he's got an OPS that's over 1,300. He's been unbelievable this year. Well, in the postseason so far. And, I expect that to continue in this series against the Phillies, although I'm not picking them to win. You gotta give props to the Diamondbacks, really. For the Dodgers, I mean, a lot of question marks. A lot of question marks going into the offseason. Does Dave Roberts come back? I think Dodger fans are kind of done with him. This was a year they kind of let go of a lot of guys. They dealt with some injuries. They had their 100-win season, but they just didn't do anything. I mean, it's the same thing as last year. The Braves and the Dodgers, they get to the postseason, and what do? They do nothing. But one of the things that I want to talk about, and, obviously we're recapping all the series, so I'm not really going to get to it, but there was a article that came out by Ken Rosenthal regarding the playoff format and just how, the layoff that a lot of these teams have is not good. I think that's essentially what it was about. And, there are people complaining about the playoff format and how, all these teams, like the Dodgers and the Braves, it's affecting them, and that's why you're seeing all these upsets. And my response to that is, well, you know what? If you're really that good of a team, then that shouldn't affect you, because we'll talk about a team in the next segment where that had no impact on them whatsoever. They were able to move on to their championship series for the 7th year, the 6th year or 7th year? Hold on. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, the 7th year in a row they're in the championship series. And they had a bye. That didn't impact them. So why all of a sudden, oh, well, the Braves and the Dodgers. You know? What, like, I don't know. But yeah. Actually, I think what was I saying that I just remember now that I think I said that Bryce Harper like had his only home runs in the series but they played I forgot that they even played the Marlins in the first round. That's how long ago. So I completely forgot about that. But yeah, like just a quick thing to correct myself there. But yeah, like I just what are we making excuses? If these teams are that good, they should be able to deal with it. Or you know what? One of the alternate things they could do is you go back to the one-game playoff, which I don't want to go back to. I don't, because I don't want to see the Yankees playing in another one of those. No, the Yankees missed the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. But sorry, don't want to bring them up. But force a habit. You bring back the one-game playoff, and then you add you make the division series a 7-game series as well. I like that idea. I'm fine with that. I'd be okay with that. Although again, not a big fan of the the 1-game wild card. But if they bring it back, they bring it back. So yeah. I mean, again, just another disappointing end to the season for the Dodgers, of course. I mean, what else is there to say? But you know what? Congrats to the Diamondbacks. Good for them. Like they played well. They played well. They were the better team in this series. The Dodgers, their pitching was not good, and their hitting was again their two best players, a combined 1 for 21 in the series. So, yeah, not good for the Dodgers. They got some things they got to figure out in the offseason. But I mean, the biggest concern I think is, when you got your star players going a combined 1 for 21. I mean, that's awful. That's not going to get it done. So. But congrats to the Diamondbacks. I'm sorry for disrespecting you, but I'm going to disrespect you some more because I'm taking the Phillies in 6 games. So. So that's pretty much it when it comes to this topic. So with that, we are going to take our second break of the show, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about the Houston Astros, my favorite team, and how they advanced to the ALCS once again. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to discuss the Houston Astros advancing to the ALCS once again for the 7th consecutive season. So 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. Yeah, 7. They were the only team that didn't get upset. So I talked about how there was going to be one upset. Well, there was one favorite that won. And, of course, it was the Houston Astros. So that's why when people say, well, we got to change the format because it's not fair for these teams that are, have all these off days. Well, look at the Houston Astros, for example. How come they were able to deal with it with no problem? Huh? So Yeah, let's get into it. Let's recap this series here. So, game 1 was on Saturday against the Twins. So yeah, they won the game in 4 games. It wasn't a sweep, but they won it in 4 games. So yeah, Justin Verlander on the mound, and of course, he pitched well. The Astros, they scored in the first inning. You know why they scored on the first inning? I'll tell you why. Because Jose Altuve, on the very first pitch that he saw, hits a home run into left field to make it 1-0 Astros. What a surprise there. Then Yordan Alvarez hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the third to make it 3-0. No surprise there. And then in the bottom of the fifth, Abreu, RBI single to make it 4-0. Chas McCormick, an RBI single in the bottom of the fifth to make it 5-0. The Twins actually did make it interesting at one point. Jorge Polanco, he hit a 3-run home run in the top of the seventh. Royce Lewis continued his good postseason with a home run to make it 5-4. Yordan Alvarez hit another home run to make it 6-4, and that was the final score there. So Justin Verlander went 6 scoreless innings, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Hector Neris, who I talked about, him improving his stock going into the offseason because he's going to be a free agent. He did not pitch well. He pitched 2/3 of an inning and gave up 4 runs. Abreu got the hold. Presley got the save. On the Twins side of things, Ober, he pitched 3 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. Kenta Maeda pitched 2 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. And then after that, there was Thielbar. He gave up a run as well. Paddock and Pagan, they pitched. They didn't give up anything. So, yeah, Astros took game 1. Then we move on to game 2. And the Twins actually got the win there in Houston. So that was a big win. You're thinking, oh, okay. All right, so maybe the Twins have a shot. Carlos Correa, the former Astro, he started off the game with an RBI double off of Framber Valdez. Kyle Farmer, he hit a 2-run home run in the top of the third to make it 3-0. Carlos Correa, another hit to drive in 2 runs to make it 5-0. Julian, he singled to make it 6-0. And then in the bottom of the eighth, Yordan Alvarez hit a 2-run home run, make it 6-2, and that was the final score there. Pablo Lopez pitched very well in that game. He went 7 innings, no runs, 6 hits, 7 strikeouts, and the bullpen, held up on their end. And then for Framber Valdez, he went 4 1/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, and a home run he gave up. And the bullpen after that, Stanek, he gave up a run. So, yeah, you thought, oh, okay, the Twins, maybe they got a shot. And then in Game 3, Christian Javier pitched very well. Sonny Gray did not. Astros ended up winning the game 9-1. Sonny Gray, 4 innings, 4 earned, 8 hits, 6 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs in the game. Christian Javier, solid start, 9 strikeouts, 1 hit, 5 walks in 5 innings, and the bullpen did their job. Top of the first, Kyle Tucker singled to make it 1-0. Jose Abreu hit a 3-run home run to make it 4-0. Alex Bregman made it 5-0 with the home run in the top of the fifth. Top of the sixth, he singled to make it 6-0. Willie Castro singled to make it 6-1. Yordan Alvarez hit another home run to make it 7-1, and then Jose Abreu hit another home run to make it 9-1, and that was the final score there. And then we go to Wednesday's game, and the Astros finished it off, winning 3-2. Royce Lewis hit another home run to make it 1-0. Brantley tied the game in the top of the second with a home run. Jose Abreu, another home run to make it 3-1, and Julian homered to make it 3-2. And that was the final score. Urquidy made the start for the Astros. He went 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, and the bullpen did their job. And Joe Ryan, he made the start, 2 innings, 1 earned run, and the bullpen, Thielbar, he gave up 2 runs. So that was kind of the difference in the game. And I think there was some criticism because Rocco Baldelli, took him out when he actually wasn't doing that bad. But that's where we are now. That's where we are. managers just take their starters out. And yeah, you just hate to see it. I mean, you see it all over the place now. I mean, the Blue Jays are doing it. It's just, I don't understand why these guys just don't have faith in their starters, and they just got to go to the bullpen. But it's like you're wasting your bullpen by doing that. I don't know. And I know that, listen, what Joe Girardi did in the 2017 wild card game, that is what you're supposed to do. When your pitcher really just does not have it, that's when you take him out. But then again, you don't want to take him out too late because then you have no shot to win, like the Dodgers with Kershaw the other day. So, but look, listen, you guys know how I feel about the Astros. I'm a bitter man when it comes to the Astros. I am. They have caused me a lot of pain over the last several years. Obviously, the whole cheating scandal thing, but I think you guys know my stance on that as well. Although, you don't like to see that happening, of course, and that disgusts you. This team did not win the World Series in 2017. They didn't beat, at least with the Yankees, they didn't beat the Yankees because they cheated. They beat the Yankees because the Yankees just could not hit. They ruined my first playoff experience. Again, the Altuve walk-off against Chapman. Getting swept last year. Although, I'll be honest, getting swept last year, I really was not depressed. I got over that pretty quickly. I actually barely watched the game 4 because I just did not want to watch it. But I tuned in and I got to see them celebrate. As much as I'm bitter towards them, they are a very good team. They're a very good team. It's amazing how they lose guys go to different teams like Correa, who they just played against. George Springer, just those guys, for example. But they just keep going. They're a machine. I mean, they pulled off the genius move of getting Verlander back, which was, good for them. They're going back to the world. I'm not going to make the prediction yet, but I was almost about to say it. I'll wait till we get to the next segment. But they've just been unbelievable. There's nothing really else to say. But that's why when people are complaining about the playoff format and all that, look at what the Astros did. They were able to move on with no problem. So why do we got to make excuses for the Braves and the Dodgers? Why? Because they've gotten knocked out in the division series the last 2 years. What are we doing? I don't know. It's just you got to give them credit. And now it sets up a very good series with the Rangers. So I really looking forward to seeing what that series brings. I mean, it should be a great series. I mean, it is. It's going to be a great series. So I'm really looking forward to what that series brings. And the Astros pitching was good. Javier was good. Verlander was good. Framber Valdez, there's a little bit of worry with him, but the lineup is great from top to bottom. They got guys like Chas McCormick, who I like as a player. At the bottom of the lineup, I wish my team had guys at the bottom of the lineup could do what Chas McCormick does. And you got Brantley back healthy. Jose Abreu's having a good postseason. Alvarez is doing what he's supposed to do. Team's a machine. And you could dislike them all they want, but you got to give them the props when it's due. And yeah, listen, I had them winning this series, of course. I wasn't going to be like, hey, the Twins are going to knock them out, especially with the Twins' past history in the playoffs. But hey, you know what? Give the Twins credit because they actually beat the Astros. Because going into the World Series last year, the Astros did not lose a postseason game. Yankees couldn't even beat them. So you know what? The Twins have a more recent playoff win against the Astros than the Yankees do. So for the Yankees, you're doing that the audit. That should be part of the conversation. How is it that the Minnesota Twins can get a playoff win against the Astros, but you can't? Just something to think about. Just saying. But you know what? I mean, good for the Twins getting this far. They ended that playoff drought. Obviously, yeah, there was some criticism with how Rocco Baldelli managed the pitching staff. But listen, that's what everybody's doing now. Starting pitching doesn't mean anything to some of these teams. That's why be thankful for a lot of these teams that you have an ace pitcher that could take it the distance and go 7 innings, because we're starting to lose that. And that is something that really is going to hurt the game. They're an endangered species right now, starting pitching. Because before you know it, it's just going to be, you're going to have guys just pitching, 3 innings. And I don't like that. I don't. Because what is important about a bullpen is you want to make sure you don't burn it out. Because you could say, yeah, we got this great bullpen, but you get to the postseason and you overuse that bullpen, your bullpen is going to be shot, and then they're gonna fold. Then what's the point of having starting pitching? I don't know. They try to get too cute. I talked about it on the football podcast with Andy Reid getting cute with his play calling. I mean, that's what baseball teams are doing with their pitching staff. They're getting too cute. Hey, we're gonna take you out and we're gonna put in our other starting pitcher to in relief because he's good against these hitters. Or whatever, the matchups, the analytics. It's just like moves like that are a problem. When you're taking out your starter who's got, and I'm going back to when Schneider took out Barrios, and you put in Kikuchi, who is not a relief pitcher. It's just like, what numbers are you looking at? I don't know. Blue Jays don't really matter at this point. Right now, we are focused on the Houston Astros, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Philadelphia Phillies, and when we get back from our final break of the show, the Texas Rangers as well. I'm going to be honest. I honestly forgot if I said this, but just to remind you guys once more, to support the show, for donations and tips, to get your comments recognized, go to streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show. And once again, for bonus coverage materials that are not covered by this broadcast, make sure to go to patreon.com and search up GSMC Sports Network. I don't remember if I said that at the beginning of this segment because we usually do it at the third part of the show. I really don't know. I've been all over the place today with how my shows have gone today. So, yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So with that, we are going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we are going to talk about the Rangers-Orioles series, and that'll be it. We'll talk about the Rangers sweeping the Orioles, and then that will be it for the live portion of the baseball podcast. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are now going to recap the final division series that we didn't get to yet. And that is the Texas Rangers sweeping the Baltimore Orioles. Now, obviously, I said that the Rangers, I think, have the best chance to upset their opponent. So I at least got that right. I still had the Orioles moving on to the championship series. But I mean, the Rangers, they showed they were the better team in this series. And I want to apologize to them because, listen, they came into the postseason flat. They have not lost a postseason game yet. Okay, same as the Diamondbacks. Okay? They swept the Rays, and now they sweep the Orioles. The Orioles just, they lost a couple of close games. And you kind of figured going back to Texas, the series was a wrap. So let's go through it. So in Game 1, the Rangers had Andrew Heaney starting the game. Obviously, he didn't pitch that long. They put Dunning in relief after him. Going up against Bradish. Rangers ended up getting the win there, winning 3-2. Evan Carter had an RBI double in the top of the fourth to make it 1-0. This is Saturday's game. Jonah Heim, he singled to make it 2-0. Ryan Mountcastle doubled to make it 2-1. And then Josh Young, he homered to make it 3-1. And then Anthony Santander homered in the bottom of the sixth. And that was all the scoring. Final score was 3-2. Andrew Heaney went 3 2/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. Dunning pitched 2 innings. He gave up a run and a hit, or 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 K. And the bullpen did its job. I mean, Aroldis Chapman gave people a heart attack, as he does in the postseason. He walked some guys, but he was able to get out of it. And then Leclerc, he ended up closing the game out for the Rangers. So actually, yeah, let's go to that inning, of course, because we got to see what happened. Got to remind myself because it happened last week. So he walked Austin Hayes. Then there was a wild pitch. Then he walked Adley Rutschman. He got Anthony Santander to ground out into a double play, and then he struck out Ryan Mountcastle, and that was on like 103 miles per hour or something like that. So, yeah, Chapman was able to work out of it. Rangers got the win there. So then in Game 2 on Sunday, it was a offensive outburst. The final score ended up being 11-8 in this game. Jordan Montgomery pitched in that game, really did not pitch that well. 4 innings, 4 earned runs, 9 hits. So he really didn't last that long. But the bullpen, did its job for the most part. Burke, he gave up 2 runs, and Leclerc gave up a home run, or a run in the actually, no, he did give up a home run in the bottom of the 9th. That was a home run off of Aaron Hicks hit that home run. So, yeah, let's go to the box score, or the game summary. So Aaron Hicks, he started off the game. So the Orioles, they got on the board first. I mean, they struck first. Aaron Hicks had a 2-run single to make it 2-0 Orioles. Then Tavares, he tied the game in the top of the second with a 2-run double of his own. Mitch Garver singled to make it 3-2. Adolis Garcia made it 4-2 with the single. Jonah Heim singled to make it 5-2. Mitch Garver then in the top of the third hit a grand slam to make it 9-2. Bottom of the fourth, Orioles, Jorge Mateo, he singled to make it 9-3. Ryan Mountcastle grounded out to make it 9-4. Top of the fifth, Mitch Garver grounded into a double play to make it 10, and that scored a run, so that made it 10-4. Gunnar Henderson hit a home run to make it 10-5. Marcus Semien made it 11-5 with the ground out. And then Aaron Hicks homered in the bottom of the 9th to make it 11-8. So that ended up being the final score. Trying to hold in the sneeze again. Okay. All right. I don't know how many times. This has happened like several times where I'm like holding in a sneeze. The allergies again are acting up today. So this is great. That's why I was like struggling to finish the. I think it was one of the previous segments because I'm like the allergies are not being kind to me right now. But yeah, I mean Aaron Hicks had 5 RBIs in this game, and Mitch Garver had 5 RBIs for himself. But yeah, Orioles pitching was not good. Grayson Rodriguez, he started. He gave up 5 earned runs. Baker gave up 3 earned runs. Webb and Flaherty, they gave up runs, and Cano gave up a run as well. Rangers won Game 2, 11-8, and then they got it done in Texas, winning pretty handily 7-1. Nathan Eovaldi, again, had a masterful performance. Corey Seager hit a home run to make it 1-0 Rangers. Mitch Garver doubled to make it 3-0. Adolis Garcia, the big blow, hit a 3-run home run to make it 6-0. Gunnar Henderson singled in the top of the 5th to make it 6-1, and then Nathaniel Lau homered to make it 7-1. And that was all she wrote. Nathan Eovaldi went 7 innings, gave up a run, 7 strikeouts. Chapman and Leclerc then shut it down there. And, the Orioles got knocked out. Dean Kramer gave up 6 earned runs in this game. And, that's all she wrote. That is all she wrote. The Rangers, they move on, and they will be playing the Houston Astros to go to the World Series. And, listen, after what the Rangers... you really look up and down the Rangers lineup. That lineup is very good. A mix of young players and veterans. The rotation with Eovaldi at the top. And I think they might be getting Max Scherzer back. So, I don't know if it's kind of a bad thing because you look at that more as a negative than a positive because of how he's been lately. But, the Rangers, they have a very good chance to beat the Astros. I give them a great chance because I think they have the lineup to compete with the Astros. I think with Nathan Eovaldi at the top of the rotation, and you hope Montgomery could figure it out. Sorry, my dog was right outside my door. I give them a shot. I give them a very good chance. I think that this series between them and the Astros probably goes 7 games. But I probably have to give the edge to the Astros just because I can't pick against them as much as I would want to. For me, the bottom line is this. I just hope it's a great series. And I think it will be. Actually, one thing that could possibly happen, and that honestly would be very funny, is if Jose Altuve hit another walk-off home run off of Chapman to send the Astros to the World Series. That would be very funny. It would give us Yankee fans some flashbacks, but, listen, you got a lot of ex-Yankees on that team. You got Jordan Montgomery, Nathan Eovaldi, Chapman. So good for them. But this team is very good. It's just for me though, like they went into the playoffs, and they went in flat. They choked away the AL West, and I was just like, I think they, but they turned it on. They turned it on in the postseason. And they've looked really good. So, I give them a great chance. I think it goes 7 games, but I think the Astros take it. Then as for the other series, like I said, I think I got the Phillies in 6. So it's going to be a rematch of the Phillies and the Astros in the World Series. Now, me personally, I would rather it be Rangers-Phillies for certain reasons. But you know what? Regardless, and it's unfortunate because, again, I'm disrespecting the Diamondbacks, and I don't want to do that. But, we're just going to have to wait and see. But that's my predictions when it comes to the series. But, obviously with this segment, the Rangers and the Orioles. The Orioles, listen, they had a great season. They're a young team. They'll be back here again next year. But, the Rangers, they just ran into a better team. And, they got to improve the starting rotation. I think that's one of the big things going into the offseason because, Dean Kramer didn't pitch well. Rodriguez didn't pitch well. Bradish pitched the best game out of the starters. And he was their best starter this year. But, that was their concern going into the postseason. And that's, what ended up knocking them out. They lost. The first 2 games were close. Well, really the first one. Aaron Hicks hit a 3-run home run. When it was kind of a empty calories home run, basically. It only got them to within 3. But, the Rangers pretty much dominated this series. And they looked like a much better team. So, but, this series against the Astros is going to be, it's going to be awesome. You got 2 powerhouse lineups going at it. If you could get Scherzer back, maybe you see Scherzer and Verlander, a rematch from earlier in the season when, Scherzer pitched really bad. But you got these 2 former teammates going at it in the playoffs. I'm really looking forward to the series. It should be good. I think it goes 7 games. But ultimately, I think what we're going to end up with is the same thing we got last year. That is the Phillies and the Astros. Which, again, will still be a good World Series. But, maybe Maybe we see Texas against Philadelphia, huh? Why not? But yeah, right now that's what I probably lean towards. I'd probably lean towards saying it's going to be Astros and the Phillies again. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Recapping all the division series. Obviously, a lot happened today. Some technical issues with my sound in the football podcast. I still got the Patreons that I got to record shortly after this, so I'll do the baseball one first, and then the football one shortly after that. Obviously, I got, the shorts that come out. So, make sure to look out for those. I'll be working on getting yesterday's football podcast up, the 4 parts. We're switching servers, so, the audio, the just audio ones, they're not going to be out for a little bit. But once we figure all that out, we'll have those on Spotify and Apple Music or wherever you get your podcasts. So, so you can listen to those. But that's pretty much it. Obviously, I'm still not done yet. We're recording the Patreon. Still, ticked off at myself that I didn't realize that I had no sound. But, it's going to happen, of course. But also, I said this while I was, streaming the football podcast before I realized the sound was out. My camera, started going crazy. Like flashing colors, like rainbow, like crazy. Rainbow colors, like crazy. It was like something you saw out of, the, Into the Spider-Verse. I was like, what is going on? So I thought I was going to have to use my laptop camera instead, but that's not the case. So and then it ended up working out anyways, but there's always some technical issues going on. But listen, it's going to happen. But yeah, it was something very something I should have noticed, which I usually do notice. Like I'm looking at the the software that we're using, and I see the volume levels moving, so I know that I got sound. It's just for some reason I just did not notice it when I was streaming before doing the football podcast. But hey, it's no harm, no foul. It's these things are gonna happen, but just gotta make sure it doesn't happen again, because don't want to have to go through this again. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. When it comes to the championship series, who do you guys like advancing to the World Series? Obviously, it's good to be doing one of these shows again. Of course, it's going to be another week until I do the other, because that's how the new schedule is moving forward. Because obviously, I have a lot going on myself. So, this is how we're going to do it. And, we're making it work. Obviously, it's probably for the better also, just because, in the off season, there's going to be not that much to really talk about. So, yeah, I even said it too. It's going to be harder to come up with topics every single day when you got, nothing really going on. But, hey, we're making it work. So that's all that matters. But, yeah, once again, though, I just want to remind you guys. So, again, next Friday, 12:45 Eastern Time, that'll be the next episode of the GSMC Baseball Podcast. That'll be shortly after I do the football podcast. So, obviously, the first day of doing the double show wasn't perfect. There was a huge error. But moving forward, we will make sure that does not happen again. And if it does, like I said, to close out the football show, then I'd be considered a fraud. And I kind of dissed Sean Payton, the head coach of the Broncos, by relating myself to him then, which hopefully he never sees that. But, I just felt like saying. But that was just to be funny. So, but yeah, with that is all the time that we have for today. I thank you guys for watching. I hope everybody enjoys the games, the series, and we will see what happens and see how it plays out. I'm going to go record the Patreon for both of the football and the baseball. I'll be doing the baseball shortly after this. So, so until next week, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off. Have a good weekend, and I will see you guys next time. I'll see you guys Monday for the football podcast, but for the baseball people, I'll see you guys next Friday, 12:45 Eastern Time. So have a good weekend. Take care, and I'll see you then.